Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. The death that changed everything. The Galactic Empire, spanning thousands of star systems, stood as an unyielding pillar of dominance. For centuries, it had maintained its iron grip over the galaxy, subjugating weaker species and suppressing dissent with ruthless efficiency. To them, humanity was just another upstart civilization, a death world species infamous for their harsh planet and unyielding resilience, yet too small to be a real threat. Despite their limited influence, humans had earned a reputation for their adaptability and cunning, making them valuable allies or formidable adversaries in smaller-scale conflicts. Emilia Vega embodied humanity's hopes for galactic diplomacy. Known as Earth's brightest diplomat, she was a symbol of unity, a skilled negotiator whose compassion had resolved countless interstellar disputes. Her appointment to represent Earth in trade negotiations with the Galactic Empire was seen as a bold move, a chance to elevate humanity's status on the galactic stage. The negotiations were to take place on Valethar Prime, the Empire's glittering capital world, a place of towering spires and imposing architecture designed to instill awe and fear. The stakes were high. Earth sought to establish trade routes and secure protection for smaller allied species. The Galactic Empire, however, saw this as an opportunity to assert its dominance. The summit began under a veil of tension. Vega stood tall before the Emperor's court, her voice unwavering as she outlined Earth's proposals. Her eloquence impressed even the most skeptical of alien observers, but it did not amuse the Emperor. A towering, reptilian figure with piercing amber eyes, he viewed humanity's defiance as insolence. As Vega made her final plea for cooperation, the Emperor silenced her with a gesture. Without warning, armed guards stepped forward, seizing Vega. The room fell silent as the Emperor rose, his voice booming. Let this serve as a lesson to all who defy the will of the Empire. In a calculated act of cruelty, Emilia Vega was executed before the galaxy's eyes, her death broadcast across Imperial channels as a show of power. The news reached Earth within hours. Humanity was stunned. Protests erupted worldwide, uniting billions in grief and outrage. For the first time in centuries, Earth's fractured governments set aside their differences and spoke with one voice. In an emergency session of the United Earth Council, a unanimous decision was made. Humanity would go to war. The call to arms echoed across the planet. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers rallied in an unprecedented wave of collaboration. Factories shifted to wartime production, churning out advanced weapons and starships. Strategies were devised with precision, drawing upon humanity's centuries of conflict experience. The Galactic Council, a neutral coalition of species, warned against retaliation, fearing the Empire's wrath, but humanity was undeterred. Within weeks, Earth launched its first strikes along the Empire's borders. The galaxy watched in disbelief as the humans, though outnumbered, displayed superior tactics and adaptability. From guerrilla-style ambushes to ingenious use of planetary defenses, humanity's ingenuity began to carve through Imperial forces. The death of Emilia Vega had ignited a fire, and the galaxy would soon feel its full heat. The Relentless campaign, the war that followed Emilia Vega's assassination, was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Humanity, known for their death world origins, unleashed their full potential in a campaign that showcased their resilience, ingenuity, and sheer willpower. Where others might have faltered, Earth's forces adapted, outthinking and outmaneuvering the Galactic Empire at every turn. Humanity's unyielding tactics. From the outset, humanity's strategy defied conventional galactic warfare. The Empire's fleets relied on overwhelming firepower and brute force, but Earth's forces turned the battlefield into a game of wits. Using their Death Worlder mindset, humanity exploited the galaxy's most hostile environments as weapons. Asteroid ambushes. Human fleets concealed themselves within dense asteroid fields, launching devastating surprise attacks. The chaotic terrain, hazardous for most species, became a natural advantage for Earth's adaptive tactics. Imperial ships, designed for open combat, were torn apart in these deadly traps. Technological subterfuge. Humanity's hackers infiltrated the Empire's communication networks, spreading disinformation and causing chaos among their ranks. Entire fleets were redirected into ambushes or left stranded without supplies due to falsified orders. Repurposing alien technology. Salvaging Imperial wreckage. Earth's engineers reverse-engineered advanced weapons and integrated them into their own fleets. The Kryn cloaking devices and Tharn biothermal shielding became vital upgrades, enhancing humanity's ability to strike and disappear before the Empire could respond. These tactics frustrated the Empire's commanders, who found themselves losing ground to an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. The galaxy watched in awe as the once unstoppable Imperial Armada faltered against humanity's relentless ingenuity. Alien allies joined the fight. Humanity's defiance inspired others. Oppressed species, long crushed under the Empire's heel, saw in humanity a symbol of hope. The Tharn Rebellion, the amphibious Tharn, enslaved for generations to harvest their oceanic homeworld's resources, rose up against their captors. With humanity's help, they reclaimed their planet, their aquatic expertise proving invaluable in naval combat. The Kryn Partnership. The Kryn, a shadowy species famed for their stealth, had been reduced to scavengers by the Empire's policies. Humanity offered them a chance to fight back, integrating their cloaking technologies into Earth's fleets. Kryn commandos became legends, striking deep into Imperial territory and crippling vital installations. These alliances swelled humanity's ranks, turning isolated rebellions into a coordinated front. Together, they fought not just for survival, but for a shared vision of freedom and justice. The cost of war. Victory did not come without sacrifice. Earth's forces endured heavy losses, their soldiers outnumbered and their fleets stretched thin. Entire battalions were lost in battles that seemed unwinnable. Yet, every casualty only strengthened their resolve. Emilia Vega's memory fueling their determination. The Empire, desperate to regain control, retaliated with atrocities. Civilians on liberated worlds were massacred, their cities razed as a warning to others. But instead of instilling fear, these acts galvanized the galaxy. Species once hesitant to rebel now rose up in defiance, their cries for justice echoing across the stars. A galactic turning point. The tide of the war turned with the liberation of Zaltar Prime, one of the Empire's most critical industrial worlds. Humanity and its allies launched a daring assault, coordinating land, air, and orbital strikes with surgical precision. The battle raged for weeks, but humanity's adaptability proved decisive. Engineers on the ground reprogrammed Imperial manufacturing facilities to churn out supplies for the Coalition instead of the Empire. The victory sent shockwaves through the galaxy, breaking the illusion of the Empire's invincibility. Rebellions erupted across its territories, and the Empire's once mighty grip began to crumble. The Empire's downfall. The relentless campaign waged by humanity and its allies had brought the Galactic Empire to its knees. From the outer colonies to its industrial strongholds, the Empire's defenses crumbled under the weight of rebellion and coordinated assaults. Now, the final offensive loomed. The march to Veilthar Prime, the seat of the Emperor's power and the heart of the oppressive regime. The final offensive. The coalition assembled by humanity was unprecedented in scale and diversity. Species that had once lived in fear of the Empire now stood united, their fleets converging in a carefully orchestrated assault. Humanity's ability to coordinate the disparate technologies, tactics, and cultures of its allies into a cohesive force became the campaign's defining strength. A galaxy united, Kryn stealth ships infiltrated Imperial supply lines, cutting off reinforcements to Veilthar Prime. Tharn naval battalions dominated the oceans of the capital's sister world, ensuring no retreat for Imperial forces. Even smaller species, once deemed insignificant by the Empire, contributed their expertise, from engineering to reconnaissance. The battle for Valethar Prime. The Empire, stretched thin and reeling from countless defeats, was unable to mount a unified defense. As the coalition fleet engaged the Imperial Armada above the capital, ground forces launched simultaneous strikes on key planetary defenses. Humanity's adaptability shone once again, as their soldiers used the planet's harsh terrain to their advantage, turning the Empire's own fortifications into traps. Engineers hacked into the planet's energy grid, redirecting its power to disable planetary shields. As the Imperial fleet fell in the skies above, the Emperor's palace, an indomitable symbol of fear for centuries, became the final battleground. The Emperor's fall. Humanity's forces breached the gates of the Imperial Palace in a coordinated assault. Elite Kryn commandos led the charge, neutralizing the Emperor's personal guards with surgical precision. Tharn's soldiers secured the lower levels, ensuring the palace could not become a death trap. At the heart of the throne room, the Emperor, once the embodiment of absolute power, stood defiant. But his power had withered. Alone and surrounded, he was taken alive, his capture broadcast across the galaxy. In an extraordinary display of humanity's principles, the Emperor was not executed on the spot. Instead, he was placed on trial before the newly formed Galactic Tribunal, an impartial assembly of species representing the liberated galaxy. The trial, held on Valethar Prime, was a moment of catharsis for billions who had suffered under the Empire. Humanity's choice to pursue justice rather than vengeance earned them the admiration of the galaxy. They had proven that their strength was not just in war, but in their commitment to building a better future. Liberation and reconstruction. The fall of the Emperor marked the end of the Galactic Empire. Its former territories began the long process of rebuilding, guided by Earth and its allies. A new galactic order. Freed species pledged their allegiance to Earth, not out of fear, but respect for humanity's leadership and sacrifice. The Kryn and Tharn, once symbols of the Empire's oppression, now held prominent roles in shaping the new galactic governance. The role of humanity. Humanity emerged as both liberators and unifiers. They spearheaded efforts to draft a galactic charter, ensuring that no species would ever endure the tyranny of another. Former Imperial citizens, spared and supported by the coalition, began to view humanity not as conquerors but as saviors. The liberation of Valethar Prime was not just the end of a war, but the beginning of a new era. Emilia Vega's dream of unity, born out of tragedy, had become a reality. The galaxy, once divided and oppressed, now stood together, inspired by the courage and principles of humanity. The new era. The fall of the Galactic Empire ushered in a transformative chapter in the galaxy's history. No longer bound by fear and oppression, species across the stars began to rebuild and reimagine their shared future. At the heart of this new age stood humanity, once underestimated, now revered as both protectors and unifiers. The Galactic Charter. The first major act of this new era was the drafting of the Galactic Charter, a monumental document that codified the rights and freedoms of all sentient species. Under humanity's guidance, representatives from liberated worlds convened on Valethar Prime to ensure the mistakes of the past would never be repeated. The Charter outlined protections for the weak, justice for the oppressed, and guidelines for resolving disputes without war. Humanity's own tumultuous history of conflict and reconciliation became a blueprint for this effort, demonstrating how even the most violent species could evolve into agents of peace. Earth's delegation, led by veterans of the war and survivors of Emilia Vega's tragedy, insisted on fairness and inclusivity. The Kryn and Tharn, once victims of the Empire's tyranny, became key contributors, their perspectives shaping a future that valued diversity and mutual respect. For the first time in galactic history, species that had been enemies sat side by side, united not by fear of a common oppressor, but by hope for a shared destiny. Emilia Vega's legacy. Emilia Vega's sacrifice became the cornerstone of this new era. Statues and memorials in her honor rose on countless worlds, from Earth cities to the liberated colonies of the Tharn. Her name was etched into the fabric of galactic memory, immortalized in songs, art, and interstellar holidays. Her story was told and retold, not just as a tale of tragedy, but as an inspiration. Children across the galaxy learned of the Diplomat who faced tyranny with unwavering resolve, whose death sparked a revolution that changed the stars. Emilia's legacy reminded all species that justice, no matter how costly, was worth fighting for. The galaxy's new guardians. With the Empire dismantled, humanity found itself at the helm of a fragile but hopeful alliance. Their role as warriors during the war had earned them fear, but their actions in its aftermath garnered respect. Earth became known not only for its ferocity in battle, but also for its ability to unite and uplift. Humanity worked tirelessly to foster cooperation among the galaxy's species. Earth's leaders established the Galactic Council, a governing body where every species, regardless of size or power, had a voice. The Kryn, with their expertise in stealth and diplomacy, became trusted mediators, while the Tharn oversaw environmental restoration across war-torn worlds. Despite the scars of war, humanity's focus on rebuilding and reconciliation inspired a sense of shared purpose. Earth remained vigilant, its fleets patrolling the stars to protect against future threats, but its greatest strength lay in its ability to lead through compassion and vision. A hopeful ending. The story concludes with a scene in the bustling Galactic Council chamber, a place of vibrant energy and cooperation. Species that had once known only conflict now work together to solve problems and chart a brighter future. Humanity's representatives stood at the center, not as rulers, but as equals among many. In the end, the galaxy found unity not through conquest, but through shared ideals of freedom and justice. Humanity, born of a death world and forged by struggle, had become a beacon of hope. The sacrifices of Emilia Vega and countless others had not been in vain.